Welcome, everybody, to A Certain Point Askew, the only Star Wars podcast to be disowned, disavowed, and disabled by all factions of the Republic and the Empire. I'm Jason the Ginger, Jedi Guy, broadcasting live from Wookiee Studios. I'm not alone. Please allow me to introduce your favorite wretched scum, scoundrels, and smugglers, Neighbor Cole, who in 2018 was the most targeted separatist by the Galactic Empire. He wrote a book about it. How to Destroy Alderaan in 3 Easy Steps. Neighbor Cole, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jason. I love your new... see, you've been doing some work in the sheet, the introductions.
Yeah, I plug a little something in there every once in a while.
You know, I did a little something off of the... I did a little research. Did you guys know that the average lifespan of a Falcon is between 10 to 15 years?
So we're not talking about Star Wars here.
Well,
just nature.
It's safe to say that every Falcon alive today is a millennial Falcon. You guys didn't know I could combine Star Wars with dad jokes, did you? Okay, well, it's hard to follow that, but we do have a third biker flying in hot from
Miles just set this one out. Like, he's just not going to be able to live up to that.
I feel like the impression he's going to bring
he's
in.
got his head in his hand. He's already done it.
You know what? I fucking warmed him up for you, coming in hot from the hyperspace lanes. I got the crowd really going.
Yeah, you do.
So now you got to bring it hard. It's kind of hard to follow the killer like Jerry Lee Lewis, but I'm here. Welcome, Dark Matthews.
Well, I appreciate that. I worked on a Pike accent.
Oh,
and I couldn't get it. I did.
Well,
I spent a little time with it, and it was so bad. It was so off, and I couldn't do it. I thought I could do gonk, but that's boring. So I just went, let's give it our all with the Pike, and if we can't get it, we can't get it. So apologize to our listeners who enjoy the impressions. I couldn't get it this week.
I like after 40 years and 13 episodes of The Bad Batch, that fucker finally comes into play. That gonk droid. He's like, I'm going to save the day. I was like, what is this guy doing?
I know. He's been so useless for so long.
He's a walking gas pump.
It's a big battery, apparently.
Yeah, he is.
Just a big fat battery.
Yeah, he saved the day for sure. For a while, anyway. Thank you for having me. Good to be here. I wanted to point out off the top that we had talked a while ago about how you guys were doing the audiobook of the High Republic. I actually bought the first one, Light of the Jedi, and started reading it to my kids.
Okay.
So I've jumped into that universe just to kind of see how that goes. And there's a podcast called Wayfinder Pod where they're like walking through each episode as chapter by chapter.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, this will be a perfect way for me to read this and then listen to people talk about it each chapter as I go. And then you want to talk about name pronunciations. Like I was screwing up like 4 or 5 different names and then they were pronouncing it on their show. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Welcome to my world.
Yes.
And trying to read that out loud, like reading it out loud versus in your head. You can kind of just like, if it's in your head, you're like, if I can fly through it.
Exactly.
Right? There's a city in a book series that I read. It's like Dark Elf series that I read.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Menzoberranzan is the name of the city. And I always had it Menzobenzarin. I just say it like that in my head. But finally I was like, you know what? I see this fucking city come up like every 3 pages.
Pronounced.
So I went through and I like enunciated it slowly in my head. And now I finally like make myself say it
But
correctly.
don't you find that you do that? Like when you see something or you learn it in your head, that's just the way it is no matter what? And then you hear someone else talking about it, like, what are you talking about?
Or I don't care like if I watch the movie off of the book and they say it differently. Like if I have like Roland is the guy's name and they pronounce it Roland, I'm like, no, it's not him. His name is Roland. Yeah. I've decided that in my head. Like that doesn't work.
A quick, particulars out of the way. You can find all of our show stuff at FromACertainPointOfSkew.com. You can find us on Twitter at FACPAPod, and you can email us. Please email us at FACPAPod@gmail.com. And a quick note: I mentioned Wayfinder Pod. And I had mentioned to you guys that we were talking, I was talking to some other podcasts about kind of partnering up and forming a little podcast network. So we've made a little progress on that. We're kicking around some names and stuff like that.
Name to choose from, right?
There were some names to choose from, and I think we landed on one. I think we're going to call it the Padawan Podcast Network. Okay. So there's a Twitter handle out there for it already. I think it's at Padawans. So go follow that. So we'll do some collaboration and stuff like that with them. Just some kind of like-minded, some podcasts out there for Star Wars that we enjoy, and so we thought we'd do that. And right now we're doing like a global focus group to try to figure out all the different things we should. No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that.
I believed it with you involved.
Matt won't let us into the chat rooms because he's ashamed of us.
Yeah.
He knows we'll say something stupid.
I'm just doing the heavy lifting. I know you guys got other shit to do, so
we appreciate.
But look for more from the Padawan Podcast Network soon.
Awesome.
And that's what we appreciate about you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and really quickly, this is your last, I guess, episode before we give away the Maul Hilt. So if you want to get involved in that, we've had a lot of entries. If you retweet or quote tweet the show, any of our show posts, you can get an entry. If you send us an email for the Maul bag, get an entry. And if you write a review, you get 2 entries. And speaking of Ty again, I'm just shouting him out like crazy. He gave us a review this week. Ty from the Wayfinder Pod gave us a review this week, and it was great. So thank you to him.
Thank you, Ty.
2 entries. Please do that, and we will tally it all up, and you might win the Maul Hilt.
It's a beautiful thing. Malt. It's going to be sad to see it go, tell you the truth. Looks good in the studio.
What have you been doing with it? I mean, just leaving it there? Or you been messing with it?
I mean, that's a different podcast. You mind your own business.
Jedi After Dark is what they call that.
All right, on the show today, we've got a few things. We're going to hit the question of the week, which is Jedi jacking. We got some news, Star Wars deep fakes, Ezra and Thrawn live action, and Luke and Grogu poster. Is it real? Bad Batch episodes 13 and 14 are what we're going to discuss. It's Infestation and War-Mantle. Is it Infestation or Infested? I may have wrote that wrong. Okay. Maul bag, we've got 3 of them. So you, listeners, send your mails, especially like next week, get involved. Someone's winning the Maul Hilt. What do we call it last, Will? The Malt?
Malt. Yeah, the Malt Hilt.
The Malt Hilt, yeah.
I was struggling.
And in FACPAtoid, we've got Marlon Brando as a Star Wars gangster.
Ooh.
Yeah. Interesting.
Excited for that.
This was a deep dive, a dig. Might be some new information, but we'll get to that at the end of the show. First up, question of the week. Someone wrote this, so who wrote it? Read it.
So this actually came from a retweet from Brian Schwartz on Twitter, and it was simply, do you think Jedis masturbate hands-free?
This is a deep thought. Like, this is like a
with Jack Handy.
Do you think it's like, yeah, it's like one of the first things they do, like, maybe I'm a Jedi. I can get myself off with my mind.
Well, they're not allowed to love.
Or is this a lesson learned?
I guess
teaches this class?
No physical, or what? There's no nothing, no attachments, no loving or whatever, no love.
Right.
So, I mean, are they allowed to like visit the brothel?
Well, there's love. There's no romantic love. That's a good question.
Oh, can they get the rocks off? You just can't form an actual relationship.
Right. Like a priest.
A friends with benefits.
Oh God.
Don't start. Let's not go down that road.
Don't talk about the priest hole again.
Leave the Padawans out of this.
Yeah, that was my thought. I was like, have they ever pleased another person with the Force? Because I think they probably want to touch their own junk with their hands. You know what I mean? I don't think they use the Force to masturbate. That's just my opinion.
Oh, so they're like tantric mind fucking someone else.
Yes, I think they probably do that to please others.
It's like Demolition Man.
Or like the guy on the Matrix who sends that piece of pie that's an organism pie to the girl. Or they're just like across the room, just fucking like using their fingers.
Right. So I think they use it on others. I don't know that they use it on themselves. I think that's when they need to actually have some physical contact with themselves. But I think they have probably used it to please others, which, like you said, Cole, maybe you can't fucking do that because the Jedi Order doesn't allow anything.
So this is definitely like a dark side thing.
Oh, could be.
Right.
So when Sidious was talking about things that are unnatural, he was talking about that. He's like, the Jedi won't let you get somebody else off with your mind, but I'm cool with it.
Gives a real different meaning to feeling the Force flow.
Now, now if you're not supposed to use your hands and you use your mind, but like Plagueis or Sidious, if he's got his clones, is that all? Is that game?
Like you're talking incest?
Because like you're technically touching yourself.
It's not incest.
Right.
It is more of a masturbatory situation.
You could get into some real crazy dynamics here with the.
We dive deep on this podcast.
Muff dive deep, apparently too.
Oh.
Get a Nerf herder, bring him in, shave him, see what happens.
Oh man. Anyway, thought it was a great question. What do you think, listeners? Let us know.
Find us on Twitter or email the show.
I hope we set a nice tone with that question for this episode.
I think so. I think, if the listener wasn't sure what they were in for, I think they've got a good idea what the rest of this hour is going to be
now
like.
They know.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the news.
Let's do it.
So the first one up is the YouTuber Shamuk. I don't know how you say that. Was hired by Lucasfilm. So this is the person who's done a bunch of deepfakes to kind of replicate the CGI de-aging in Star Wars. So like Luke in Mandalorian and Leia and Tarkin in Rogue One. And he was hired as, quote, the senior facial capture artist at Lucasfilm. So a couple things. Deepfakes freak me out. I know this is shocking
Uncanny Valley to you, huh?
Well, it's going to be used to manipulate people in a very bad way in the future. So I'm a little bit worried about deepfakes because they've gotten so good at them. And the stuff that he's done, when I look at the ones he did, like the Luke one, it's fine. It's a little bit better. It's not a tremendous jump. The Tarkin one is a noticeable difference.
Right.
Like he really cleaned that one up pretty well. So I was impressed.
Well, that kind of shows how far the technology's come in just a couple of years. Because what was Rogue One was 2016? No, 20 was it that far along? 2018 maybe?
It was probably 16 because was it the year after Force Awakens?
2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the technology's come far even in the last 5 years.
Well, implications on this stuff, like now, like you can't even use, like if you take a picture on your cell phone and you try to bring it into court, they won't even look at it. They won't touch it. They won't touch text messages. They won't do any of that. Like in just like a general court setting.
Because digital manipulation is so easy and so hard to prove that it wasn't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a real thing. And then this is like, who knows? It's like the guy who's like, what is it? There's that big piece of art that someone's like, this is an actual Rembrandt or whatever. And then like, he was like a professional surveyor or whatever. Someone else is like, no, that's not. They came through.
Is this from the Netflix doc we watched? The
I
robbery
think so.
one?
Didn't we talk about that?
Yeah.
Like one of them was one piece that they thought that they had was an actual fake. Like they found out it was a fake. So like even the experts half the time can't even tell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's just scary. It's alarming. I mean, I'm happy for the guy because he's done some amazing work, and I certainly, if they're going to use this kind of technology, it's the more realistic it looks, the better. But because there was one, he does a thing where he adds Harrison Ford's face to Ehrenreich in Solo.
Is that him that did it? Okay.
Legit.
Right.
Like it's like, whoa.
Uh-huh.
So it's bizarre.
And the fact that like one person can do that, and that Disney ended up, or Lucasfilm hires the guy because it reminds me of like the old school days where like for example, Leonardo DiCaprio's character in To Catch, what the hell is the Spielberg movie?
Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah, where he was into counterfeiting, and he ended up working for the FBI because he's so good at it. It's like sort of like the same thing. Like, well, if we can't duplicate this master shit, let's just bring him in and have him do it for us.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
Although, do you think he's like, now that he's part of the Lucasfilm and he's got the title and everything, does he regret the silly name of Shamook?
Hey, before you guys announce this, can I change my username?
I want to change it to Neighbor Shamook.
Yeah, it is scary though. I mean, it's the one thing though with the stuff they've done with CGI, and even with the stuff he cleaned up, it's the mouth. It always comes down to the mouth. It just doesn't look right the way it's moving when they're talking. It's almost like it's barely moving.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like the muscle tissues over the teeth, because they say that's hard in the eyes. Like that was the big thing when they were doing all the CGI work on Pacino and De Niro. Was they said it was a lot of work and a lot of hours on the eyes. And so, of course, when I'm watching the movie, the whole time I'm like paying attention to the eyes. Like, do they look real?
Well, when Rogue One happened and Tarkin walked on, I was like, wait a minute, because I didn't know it was coming.
Oh, no?
So I was like, I don't think I knew in advance. I don't think I was paying as much attention to that going into it. And I was like, holy shit. And then I was like, oh, but this is, it's just a little off. It's close, but it's not quite there.
But it was passable. I mean, more than passable.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're so spoiled too now, so it's still like they look amazing, like so fucking amazing. But like, oh, the shadow's a little bit different. Like, you know what I mean? We're so like,
but here's the thing:
we've been so wowed for so long.
I feel like, I don't remember if it was Lucasfilm or it was for Marvel, but someone had talked before a couple years because of all this stuff that's happening with CGI work. They own the licensing and the look of the faces and characters. So technically, they can go back and make like all these Luke Skywalker, Han Solo movies because they had an actor play Luke Skywalker and they put his face over it, right? And then de-aged him. They could do that. Like they could just go and make a fucking series of our favorite characters and have, although like the actors who actually play the characters got to be really in for like never being the face that's on the screen. But technically, that might be something that we're going to see in the next few years. You know, it seems to be they're teasing that.
Yeah, I would think they would want to get their blessing. And not just start making shit without them knowing about it.
The actors that are playing the part.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like they would know.
I would hope so.
Hey man, I liked you in the new Star Wars movie. That wasn't me. Thanks though.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
My likeness. Just my likeness.
Yeah, because I think they asked, is it Billy Lord? I think they asked her about using Leia in Rogue One before they did it.
Yeah.
Or no, because that would have been before that, wouldn't it? Ah, fuck it. I'm screwing it up. Because she wouldn't have been dead yet, I don't think.
No, yeah, she was only dead for the last movie.
She died right after they made Last Jedi.
Did she play that? I can't remember if it was Billy Lord that subbed in, and then they put.
Oh, I think you're actually right. I think she was the actor stand-in, and then they put it on top of her.
They put her mom over top of her.
I believe
but it's not incest.
It's not incest. No, just a deep fake. Just a forced masturbation.
Forced masturbation, deep fake.
Getting uncomfortable.
All right, moving on. Ezra Bridger and Admiral Thrawn. Casting rumors. We did talk about this previously, at least with Mina Masood from Aladdin, and we thought that he was going to be Ezra. I don't remember if at the time we knew Lars Mikkelsen was meant to be Grand Admiral Thrawn. Oh my God, Grand Admiral Thrawn.
I think there was speculation or rumors because he was so good in it, and he is an actor, and his brother's fucking, Mads Mikkelsen. So
Galen Erso.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe they'll do a scene with the two brothers. That'd be interesting.
Galen Erso and Admiral Thrawn brothers. Weird. They don't really look alike.
Or the actors.
Yeah, right. Lars Mikkelsen is the voice of Thrawn.
Yes.
In Rebels too, so it makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you can make that work and have the same voice, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Well, didn't they just announce one of the other voice actors was just cast in, was it Kenobi or Andor? There was a voice actor for something in one of the Star Wars series. It was a woman, I think. And they're bringing her in as the live action.
You're not talking about
character.
Hera, Vanessa Marshall and Hera?
I don't. Maybe. Did they announce that? I don't know.
I don't remember them announcing anything.
What if Mads is the older brother, and then Lars, who's going to be playing Thrawn, is born second, and like he pops out, and it's like a blue baby.
What the fuck happened here?
And the dad's in the waiting room and like, he just looks at
That's
it.
not mine.
The doctor's like, I'll give you two a moment. We got the same dad. I swear to God.
What series though? I mean, it was funny because Rosario Dawson had like an Instagram post where she kind of took that speculation and ran with it a bit. And I think everybody thought, oh, is that her confirming it? So it makes you wonder, is it going to be for Ahsoka? Is it going to be for Mando season 3? Is it going to be for a whole different project? Like, where are these two going to show up?
Oh, I feel like the Ahsoka is probably Ashoka was the right thing. I think that's where it's going to be. But if you're hiring, Grand Admiral Thrawn, right? You're going to see him, like, this character is going to progress. You're going to see him throughout more. I'm guessing he will tie in because what do they keep calling it? The Mandoverse, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of teasing. So I think like all these separate little offshoots, obviously we've talked about it before, are all coming together at some point. So yeah, I think it'll start there, but you'll see these characters kind of bounce around.
Yeah, it's the most likely spot for him is in the Ahsoka series, since she flat out name checked him in Mando season 2.
She's on the hunt for the blue boy. Yep.
That's right. Yep. Last thing is, and I think you shared this with us in our little rumor DM, was the Mandalorian posters. It's so some place called Trends International released a couple Mandalorian related posters as part of San Diego Comic-Con. And one of them looks like it's just a season 2 shot from Mando. It's him holding Grogu and the Darksaber.
Right.
And then there's like, Moff Gideon's in there, Bo-Katan's in there, and then the Dark Troopers are in there.
Right.
But then the other poster is Luke standing next to Grogu. And
Young
Luke's like,
yeah.
Luke's like levitating a yellow kyber crystal. And Grogu's like doing that thing that the younglings did in Clone Wars, where they're like assembling their lightsaber using only the Force.
Right.
What the fuck is this all about?
And this is officially licensed by Lucasfilm. So this is like, they signed off on this. So I don't know if this is, let's stick with the theme of the show, if this is a dick tease or what, but this definitely looks like it.
Yeah. I was shocked to see that and hear that it sounded more official than it was. I thought this was just somebody coming up with it.
And a yellow lightsaber. That's kind of, you put some, because they've kind of teased a little bit with Grogu, slapping some stormtroopers around, which is sort of dark side, but he seems to be a good person who's been through good alien that's been through bad things. So yellow kind of represents the middle too. So like for the gray. So it'll be interesting if this is alluding to any of that, or if this is just like, let's fuck with these fucking Star Wars fans.
You think there's a maintenance program on these lightsabers? Do you think they got to take them apart, clean them, put
out,
them back together?
Be a little dirty.
They get some corrosion on their points.
Well, if kids are building them, I feel like they're not sealed tight, so that's probably a good idea.
I think you're going to need to clean them out.
Yeah.
It's one of those where people like shame each other. How long has it been since you cleaned that thing?
All the military,
you're supposed to clean it? Yes.
All the military guys that we work with, they're always like fucking cleaning theirs to like military specs, and we're just Jay and I are dipping ours in a tank of water and throwing it out.
It's good.
Is it like the blue water and like the combs go in the barber shop?
Exactly.
Yeah, I take a drink of it, swish it around, spit it down the barrel.
Good to go.
Oh, there's Brevis's rifle. You know,
That's
clean
true.
That
like when we have to clean the rifles and the handguns, I'm in there maybe 5 minutes and it's assembled again. Everyone else has got brushes and fucking they're switching things out and they're in there like 30 minutes. And I'm like, guys, we could go home. Like,
and theirs will work when they use them when they're done with them.
Yeah,
Ours are just paperweights.
Hey, look, they take the serial number down to see who cleaned it. And I've never gotten a call and be like, hey, you did a bad job. So it still worked in the end.
Just do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
That's what you should always do.
Union employee to the day we die.
It's not my job.
Not my job. Local 29, baby.
You want to get in the Bad Batch?
Let's do it.
Let's dive deep.
So I don't want to use the dreaded F word when talking about the first episode.
Failure?
I was kind of ready to move on from the whole Sid storyline. As much as I've enjoyed that character, it was like, how many fucking jobs are we going to go on here for Sid?
Yeah, she's really got her hands in the fucking tank, doesn't she? Like she's always got a job.
Yes. I was just anxious to get back to the Empire and crosshairs and all that action and that interplay versus just seeing them go on job after job after job. So when I got done watching that episode, I mean, I like that Roland Duran character, but when I got done watching that episode, I was like, okay, hit me with something big next time, because that was kind of
Yeah, I mean, this was a mission of the week, right? I mean, it didn't really put us any further.
It could be setting something up. If that's happening, it's probably in season 2. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm sure there's a long play where it's setting something up, and that's fine. But for now, you know, when you're only getting one a week, you're like, that's the one we got? You know what I mean?
Right.
Give me something more. And then when we get to the next episode, fucking thank you, delivered.
Well, not jumping ahead in any way, shape, or form that's a spoiler or anything, but you're talking about like working for Sid. What kind of fucking wages are they working for? Because they make mention in passing in the War-Mantle episode. They're like, well, if we skip this job out on Sid, we're not going to have enough food to eat. Like, what are you guys going paycheck to paycheck with these jobs?
Well,
like,
up until 2 episodes ago, they were just paid off, and that was because of little short one playing chess or whatever. So all the jobs they had, they were probably skimping off the top to feed themselves, and the rest was going to pay her back. So now they're paid off, and anything they're making, apparently, it costs a lot to run a spaceship and feed 5 people.
Splitting it 5 ways, too. That's probably not helpful.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think she's paying business expenses. I don't think they're able to expense like the fuel and all the other expenses that go into the mission that they have to do. They're just getting what they
don't
get.
get 35 cents back a mile.
They're not getting their galactic per diem, is what you're saying.
No per diem.
Yeah, what the fuck,
so
man?
It's a horrible deal.
They need Mandalorian to come in here and negotiate for him.
Yeah, right.
Mandalorian walks in with the fucking his
we'll take it.
flamethrower. He's like, you know what? We're going to need prevailing wage for the next 2 weeks, or this isn't going to happen.
And then Sid says, no, and in fact, because you asked, I'm going to pay you half. And he's like, okay.
Is it calamari flan? All right, I'll take it.
Fine. They still spend. All right, well, we can jump in. I just
wanted to say, and then the cheap bitch wouldn't even give them more than 1 free beer.
Yeah, right. Drinks are on me.
They should get plenty of drinks. And remember, they were eating so much goddamn popcorn that ate up a lot of the profits.
Yeah,
as well, so.
The party mix.
Also, I feel like Wrecker can really put him away. He can wreck a few beers.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
He had me hollow. What did he do? Was it in this episode or the next one? There was something he did where he, like his excitement, and I fucking just started laughing at him.
He does one in the next. I thought Matt was gonna. I was betting on Matt doing a Wrecker over the intercom voice where he's like, "Get us out of here!"
See, you guys both do Wrecker way better than me, so I'm not even going to touch that.
All right.
I love the man.
So let's get into it is Infestation. That's what I have written down.
Oh, I had Infested written down now. We've had it switched 3 times.
Shit, maybe it is Infested. I don't know. Who knows? We screw these up all the time.
There's cream for it. We'll be clean by next week.
What I noticed right off the bat is, I don't know, maybe it was very noticeable to me, was it looked super clean, super sharp right off the bat. Like maybe the CGI, I didn't notice it so much, or maybe it's just been 2 weeks since I've watched, because I just watched these back to back before we record, so I have them fresh in my mind. But it looked really great off the bat, like right off the jump, super clean.
Never a complaint with the visuals. They look fantastic.
Right.
I mean, and they do week in and week out. This one for me was just the storyline. I was kind of like, come on.
Yeah. So speaking of the storyline, so they come in and they're still working for Sid, right? But they go to the bar and
It's hopping,
and Sid's been replaced by old Two Horns Roland Duran. He's got these, what I don't know what species is, and he's working with the Pikes.
lizard-scaled peacock-looking thing.
Ruby.
Is it
Ruby.
Some sort of Devorian, or right? Isn't that what they're called?
Okay.
Was
I'm gonna
he?
check the word on that.
Is he? What's his face's kin? What are they called? Osage? Not Osage.
No, they
Savage.
have more horns than He's just got the 2. Well,
Darthomirian?
1.5 now.
Darthomirian, maybe?
I totally pulled one of your guys' maneuvers. It's Devaronian, not Devoran. Just enough off.
Welcome to the show.
And he's finally landed.
Yeah.
Welcome. How's it feel good down here?
Feels 60%, doesn't it? Feels good.
It's not bad. You got a little more room to play.
So he's a DeLorean. Apparently he's working with the Pikes, right?
I like how he just walks in and he's like, hey, this is my bar now.
Yeah.
Sid doesn't have a whole lot of security protocol, didn't look like.
Yeah, I mean, all she's got is a homeboy Death Eater. Looks like he died about 72 years ago, and a giant snail head that no matter where they're at, they have a chess game going.
Well, I was going to say, do you think they got booted, or is that a loyalty thing? They went with her because she got ousted, or were they like, you know what, take fucking Bolo and Ketch with you, you know?
Yeah, maybe both.
I love that they're playing that game on the gonk.
I was laughing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And then, she tells them that they have to help her, or she'll spill their secrets. She keeps throwing that out there.
Right.
You know, remember, I know your shit, so...
I've kept my mouth shut this long.
Exactly.
You
She just got
this.
that hanging over their head.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Miss fucking Helper is like, we have to help them, or we have to help her. That's just an ongoing theme. Omega's always like, well, we got to do it. We got to help her.
I really did struggle with Hunter this episode and the next one, because every fucking time Hunter puts his foot down and be like, nope, this isn't what the mission, this is what it's going to take. They're like, well, someone always challenges him. I mean, he's always just like, all right, we'll do the mission. Just always like,
I tried.
He really went to the school of Mandalorian. Like, well, who the fuck teaches these people to negotiate?
He's not very authoritarian as a leader, I would say.
I mean, he really is like a dad. Like, you know how you just give in to your children every time? Not for the most part.
It's just easier. It's just easier.
Cole's right here like, no, I don't. I saw the look in his face.
No, I don't know what that's like. What I say goes.
You want your children to be happy.
So the plan is to steal Roland's spice and basically get him killed. I mean, it's to get him in hot water with the Pikes, and they're ruthless. So so that it's kind of a bit of a menacing plan by her, although who knows what they did to take her parlor from her.
So there's a legit underground railroad underneath the city, right? Like
I love how
tunnels.
she just happens to have a tunnel that goes into her office, but in order to get there, you have to go through the movie Pitch Black.
That, or again, it had a little bit of the Temple of Doom vibe with the little carts that they're on. You know, I think we experienced that a little bit in Clone Wars, where they had that episode where they had that kind of underground mine kind of situation.
That was
as well.
a great episode.
Yeah. And then they have to be quiet or they're going to wake the hive. This is like my worst nightmare. I'm not a big fan of lots of bugs.
Flying aliens?
Like these things feel like bugs.
Oh, man. Yeah. This is what reminded me of Pitch Black, because the light kept them away. But other than that, like the noise was just like, here they come. And yeah, they were an interesting... We've seen these once before. I think they were in the Clone Wars. And they were mentioned... I think Han Solo mentions them a couple of times, too.
Oh, okay. Well, and of course, Dum Dum Wrecker drops his fucking flashlight. And that was, again, I know I keep bringing up these Lord of the Rings parallels, but it was like Pippin knocking that fucking skeleton over and waking up all the orcs when in the first Lord of the Rings. It had that same feel. It's like
I didn't mean
you hear that
took.
cavernous like dropping, and everybody's like, oh shit. But nothing happens right away. It's like, just keep going.
Until they get the spice.
So they do the old, who are the two? Bolo and what's his name?
Ketch.
What is it?
Ketch.
They
Like ketchup.
They do the old lure Ruby out with the kettle corn mix, right? So they're dropping the...
I saw this shit in Looney Tunes when I was 5.
Yeah, so they lure them out, and that's the whole to get them cleared out of the
That popcorn will fucking bring anybody out, man.
I want to try
no
it.
shit. What's in that popcorn?
I know.
Oh, shit.
God.
And so then they end up like getting all the spice from underneath, and then as they're
Once
leaving,
the action kicks in, though, man, holy shit. I really enjoyed the back half. It was shot well.
Yeah, I like the pretty little, sick little cart jumping that Hunter does. He jumps off his cart, kicks the other guy off, turns that other cart in reverse, and sends it back at the other ones. I was like,
That was
pretty
a
badass.
sweet move.
yeah, that's some Mission Impossible shit.
But then, of course, they all wake up. All the creatures wake up, and then all hell breaks loose.
And they end up losing the spice down in the caverns, and they get back, and old Roland has the two, Bolo and Ketch, whatever, like sitting in the bar, and he's like interrogating him. And then in walk the Pikes to get their fucking spice
Fuck
mix.
the Pikes.
They need the spice. They need to spice up their meat. Their Crate Dragon meat's been dry and tasteless for too long. So they need some Lowry's.
We know the Pikes. We've seen them quite a bit. I think we saw them a little bit in Clone Wars. They were talked about a lot in Solo.
Yes, and they were in the last season of the Clone Wars. They were the two sisters were dealing with them.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're like a crime syndicate. At one point, they align with Maul, I think, when he does the takeover of Mandalore
Correct.
as well, I believe.
Yes. And then they own the Kessel.
Yeah.
They run the spices on the Kessel. Yeah.
Of course, I love how dum-dums go back into the bar like too early. You know, if you just wait an hour.
I know.
They're gone.
No, they took care of them. They don't fucking put up with shit. Let's just mosey on in. Walk into the bar. Everyone's passed out. Oh, we're not going to run into anybody. I'm like, this is like, they didn't peek their head in the door.
No.
She's just
like,
confident.
Exactly. He doesn't give a shit. And of course, Roland's coming out. He's like, oh, by the way, there they are. It's their fault. And then you realize it's like the Bad Batch is not. They're a little afraid of the Pikes. Like they don't feel like they could take them, which I thought was interesting. Like the Pikes have this reputation of being kind of undefeatable or something.
Yeah, ruthless for sure.
The Bad Batches are wild card though. They're the wild cards, so they should have just went and did their thing. But Sid talks him down the ledge and talks him down like, hey, listen, you don't want to fuck with the Pikes. Mm-hmm. These are bad.
Let him hold the woman hostage again.
Yeah, let him hold Omega. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Right.
I couldn't believe that. I was like, they won't ever let Omega stay there. And then she stays there, and her and Roland are just kind of, what are they, bonding a little bit?
Yeah, yes. I guess, yeah.
Because they're both like getting the
prisoners of war
vibe or whatever you get from them. What is that called?
Reach for that gun, girl.
Where you start falling in love with your captor.
Stockholm syndrome?
Stockholm syndrome. That's what it is.
Although he wasn't just her captor. It was just two prisoners like relating to each other.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true. Good point.
But of course, Omega sees the good in everyone. So she's like, you know, that comes into play later at the very end.
I like Omega. You guys are pooping on her this episode, but I don't know why. She's one of my favorite little characters.
No,
she's just so cute.
I do too. But I don't like how like she seems to have the last say in everything. Like these badass warriors, and they're just like, oh yeah, okay, we'll give in to her. She's got life experience. She knows best.
Right. It's like and I think it's and I hope I'm not going to call anybody out here, but it might be like an only child situation. You know, like she's pulling at all the different parents, all the dad batch. They just constantly want to make sure she's happy.
Yeah.
And so whenever she says shit, they're like, okay. I've experienced parents like that before. Certainly not you, Cole, because you know, cracking that whip, but. Parents who are like they kind of let the kid run the show, and that feels a little bit like what the Dad Batch is doing.
Yep, they need to read the handbook of helicopter parent.
That's right. So then Sid and Wrecker go down to get the spice. I love the fact that Sid's like, I'm a brute, so it's me and Wrecker. You know what I mean? Like when they get in the carts earlier in the episode, she's like, Wrecker, you drive that one, I'll drive this one because these pipsqueaks can't do it.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I like when they like are getting ready to like. Go on belay and go down into the fucking cavern. They got like these little orange OSHA harnesses that they're wearing. It's like it's good to see that OSHA's alive and well in the galaxy under the Empire.
And the only thing that fucking scares Wrecker is heights. So he's like ready to piss his pants on the platform. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. I love when he sees the first one. He's like, found one.
Yeah.
Such a nerd. Yeah. So then they get them all, but on the way up with the last two, the hive comes alive, and they're just like. Swarming both of them. And so that's when Tech saves the day with the big light, you know, whatever that was, that light bomb.
Detonator, yeah. Looks like a giant, those bank tubes you send through the...
Oh, it kind of did look like
that. Oh, yeah, I like that.
So they get the spice back to the Pikes, and the Pikes are very reasonable. Okay, we're good here. But you, motherfucker, we're cutting off your horn.
Yep.
Now they call him
just straight. That's straight like mob shit.
Rolling one horn.
Yep, that's his nickname.
Does that have like some significance? Like, can he not go back to his clan, or is he like, what does that do?
I think it's just meant to be a mark to show, to like embarrass him, and to remind him constantly, don't fuck with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can't let anybody get away with anything. They gotta, at least do something.
I feel like the introduction to that character and the fact that the Pikes were in this, you're right, are like alluding to, hey, even though we want progression with the Empire and all that, like this was like, remember this because we're coming back to this later.
Yeah, I think we'll see him. Not to mention they mentioned his mother, Edie Durand or whatever, so that might come into play as well. So yeah, I'm sure it's a setup. It's just that in the moment you're like, okay, you know.
Did we see this guy before or their family before? I feel like
I don't think so.
No,
I thought so. I think I looked him up, and it just had references to this episode. I don't think there was anything else as far as I remember.
Yeah, and Omega and Sid are both kind of advocating for compassion from the Pikes. Like, hey, listen, you don't want to start a war with Edie or whatever her name is. That was kind of interesting. So maybe that's setting up something for the future. Like, oh, now you kind of owe us one, or you need to come and save our neck sometime.
Well, never mind the fact that, like I said before, Sid was setting him up to get fucking murdered by the Pikes by stealing the spice that he owed them.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about, Sid?
Well, yeah, but she even says, like,
what you talking about,
to
Sid?
fuck the one over is okay as long as no one knows who it is. But when it becomes, like, knowledge, then you get war between the families. That's why she's sort of sneaking in through, and he can be off, but they won't start a war between, I guess, the Pikes and the whatever that family is. But, yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit more than this. But, yeah, at the end, Sid. She says, well, Ruby likes him, so he can't be all that bad.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Sid. Anyway, we get to episode 14, War-Mantle, which is when the shit kicks in. And from Jump Street, I am locked in. That opening sequence where the clone trooper's running and you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. He's obviously being chased by other troopers, and you don't know who it is. I think everybody's speculating as it's going along. I really didn't know who it was until he actually said his name later in the episode, because I think they say his his numbers or whatever at some point.
CC5576.
Yeah, and I bet you some people knew that and were like, "Oh, that's Gregor," but I didn't know it at the time. I was like, who the hell is this? But I loved the beginning. I loved how it pulled you in. Yeah. And then, of course, I love how he gets stunned in just the leg at first. He's like, yeah.
Looked like he pulled a hammy.
I want to get through this. Well, also, like, he's wearing, like, a tight Under Armour fucking workout shirt.
It's the gear underneath the Stormtrooper stuff, I think, is what it's supposed to be, right? Like,
because Finn had that on when he...
Black rubber shit.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Lycra.
And then Bad Batch gets the call and is like, from Rex. And Rex is very preoccupied. He's got to fuck off like quickly. He just tells him, "Hey, you got to go get this guy. Trust me." And then he's like, "Oh shit, I got to go." Like there's stuff going on around him.
Assassin's Creed Rex is what you saw there.
Right?
He had the hood on.
Wasn't he the one that was hidden in the cloak a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, the one he showed up at the bar at Sid's and he was cloaked. Yeah, looked like Strider. Yeah,
Strider. Nice.
So the distress signal is coming from a place called Dara, which I don't believe we know from the past. I'm not familiar with it. But Tech is like, hey, just to remind you guys, we're in the middle of a job for Sid. Jesus Christ, we're on another job for Sid?
Uh-huh.
Can't escape that bitch. She's an overlord.
Like, come on, man.
No
when
sleep.
he said that, I was like, finally, we're going to just fuck that order off and just go ahead and do our own thing. Thank God.
Well, they also introduced, like, at some point in this episode, they introduced the TK trooper, the TK designation.
Okay, first of all, armor upgrade. Mm-hmm. They took some blasts. They took like an ass beating, and they just kept coming. I was like, ooh. And then what? Did they just like?
Well, some of them took a blast. The other ones were just getting stunned left and right.
The ones had with the blue visors had like a bulkier.
Yeah, the beefy stormtrooper, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and then
they had the weird special guy with the yellow who just fucking kept coming. Like they had to shock him like a half a dozen times before he went down. I was like, is this somebody we're supposed to know? And then that was it. It was just that one guy got stunned 6 times, fell over, and that was the only time we saw that guy.
Well, then my favorite part of the episode is their leader is like they're on the fugitive scene where they're looking down over the fucking waterfall and they're all at the end of the tunnel, and they're all like there's like 9 of them. Like 4 of them are standing there with their backs to them, and then 2 stormtroopers like you can't miss. Like if you shoot down this hallway,
oh they can.
There's like it's completely blocked by the Bad Batch. Like if you throw a rock against a barn door, you're gonna hit.
Yeah.
And they happen to miss. They all get out of the way. And then they fucking shove the captain back out. And their own troopers get shot. Like, shoot them with their own troopers. I like that part.
Why are they still stunning? Is it still this whole brothers thing? Is that what's going on? Why are they stunning?
I think so, yeah.
Well, then when they take them, they demask them and they find out they're conscripts, right? They're not they're not clones. So I'd be like, okay, well, switch them over to fucking kill.
Yeah.
Get these mercs.
But before that, we go back to Camino, and once they show that shot of Camino, I was like, "Sweet, let's go!" And it shows Crosshair talking to Rampart and he's saying the operation's ahead of schedule. He's like, "Cool." He's like, "So what about those Kaminoans?" And he's like, "Just wait, we'll deal with them eventually."
Yeah.
Which I was like, "Oh boy, what's coming?"
Foreshadowing. Yep. And then so Nala Se starts like kind of reads the lay of the land, and she tries to grab a group of the, I guess you'd call them younglings, or the ones that the clones in training, and Boba's in there, right? Was that Boba? Or was
I don't know if it was.
No, I don't think it was Boba.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't Boba. I thought it was.
Because I think Boba's off doing his shit now. I think he's full on, in the underworld now.
Yep.
Oh, he's with that group of other assassins, right?
Yeah.
Or bounty hunters.
Yeah, but Lama Su comes in and tells Nala Se like, "Hey, so they just canceled our contracts," and she's like, "What?"
We're looking for work.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know any leads? Any hot leads across the galaxy? Anyone need some clones?
Help wanted. So he reads the situation. He's like, I think they're going to destroy us. Like, I think they have no use for us anymore. They don't want us. They're going to destroy us. We need to get the fuck out of here.
Because she was kind of doing that on the down low. She thought she was going to have to like sneak out with a group of younglings, and then he kind of like sees her going, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm onto it too. So you're cool. Let's do our thing." Right.
Yeah. Then I guess the batch comes and shows up on Darrow, and they find the beacon, and of course there's nothing around. And then Hunter tracks him to that base. And that's one of the few times where he's like, "You and Wrecker go back to the ship." And she's like, "But we need," and he's like, "No, order." So he finally puts his foot down, and it actually works.
Did you see kind of like, I got the vibe between Hunter and Echo? There was he was hesitant to go just like spend all this time grabbing up a reg. What did he call them? They call them regulars or whatever. Call them a reg. Yeah. And Echo, who was like super loyal to Rex, was like, no, he's right. Like, if Rex wanted us to get him, he's important. There was a bit of tension there, I felt like.
Well, and when the episode opened up, one of the things I was thinking of is like they really haven't. I know we kind of get the gist of the characters and everything, but we haven't really delved into much past or gotten some like character development. And then really the only one we know anything like history wise is Echo. And I'm thinking, and then of course, 5 minutes later, I'm answered because he kind of brings up his past and how they saved him, and you would have done this, you did the same. Now we're going to do this for him because we don't know. I was like, oh, okay, so I guess my prayers have been answered.
Did you guys catch when like Hunter was doing his tracking thing? There's like it looked like a fucking spliff sitting on the ground.
Yes,
he's like, oh, this guy. He picks up this Dagobah spliff.
He's like Snoop Dogg.
I'm gonna hold on to this till what.
Snoop would be the perfect Caminoan, whatever the hell you call him.
Caminoan, yeah,
Caminoan, he could fucking with the dreads.
Long.
We put the dreads in him.
But once they get inside that installation, it was like we're in A New Hope on the Death Star. The music was the dun 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 dun. Dun. Is that music that you hear? The lighting that's so unmistakable. I was going crazy once that happened because I was like, finally, like we're really starting to inch more toward the Empire that we all know. And they mentioned the new armor of the troopers. They're not quite Stormtrooper. They're getting a little bit closer. They're going from the clones to the Stormtroopers, and they're a little bit closer. So it was kind of cool to see that as well. And then that's when they talk about the TK thing. And he's like, I don't know what TK is. And we're like, oh, we do.
Yeah.
And it becomes evident that the armor won't stop a rear naked choke either. So.
So what is this secret installation exactly? Is it just where they're kind of putting together the new Stormtroopers?
I don't know that it's the place, but it seems like it's one of the places where they're doing that. Yeah, where they're starting this program. I mean, that's goes into the title of the episode.
Because he even he says there's a new type of encryption, and then when he gets in there, he kind of calls off like there's something going on. And what did we get to War-Mantle? The meaning of War-Mantle is just that, right?
Conscripts and not clone troopers, right? Is basically what it is.
It's Tarkin's program exactly.
Yeah, they're kind of going on the vein of numbers over and the supply of conscripts versus well-trained clone troopers, right? They're not anywhere near as like efficient, but we have a million of them,
yeah.
Like fodder type.
They're all pledging
plan.
their allegiance to the Empire.
Something you don't often hear on a podcast, but Kitty, can you not touch the microphone?
The cat wants to be part of the show.
Rubbing up against
fourth
me.
member. Fourth mic. But then you see the clone that they've caught in his jail cell. In come the Bad Batch, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Gregor." Like, holy shit, it is Gregor. And last time we saw him was on that fucking desert planet. Remember that stupid guy that led all the droids in Clone Wars, and that was like that 3-episode arc. Where's that little dude that fit inside the top of one of the astromech droids, and he was commanding them, "They're my troops."
Yes.
And Gregor, they went to that barren planet, and they ended up finding Gregor, and he was like a dishwasher.
Yeah, he was a dishwasher in a cafe. Yep, because he had amnesia from an explosion from...
Right.
He had. There was a mission that he did, that something happened to him, and then he had amnesia, but then he gets brought up to speed by that little dude about like who he actually is. But then I think if memory serves... You think that he could have possibly died. Of course, we know later on he's going to show up in Rebels, but he gets them out, and that's what the last we see of him.
Okay. Yep.
And I think that's why he's gone a little nutty, because if you hear his voice, it's like cracking.
Yes.
He's kind of like, ah.
Yes.
It's that. It would do that Amadeus thing. There it is.
He's in Rebels. He's one of the ones on the AT-AT, right? He's one of the clones on that. The Walker.
Yeah, whatever that Walker thing is.
Oh, in the second season with Rex, where they're all older?
Yeah, they're
Yeah, it's Rex, Gregor, and Wolf.
Okay.
So
yeah,
he's
that's
one
as
of those
far
three.
as I've made it, I think, with for those first 3 episodes of season 2.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
save it for the review.
I sure am.
Yeah, they trip that alarm, And again, just still stunning people, just driving me crazy. Fucking shoot them. But they realize they're not clone troopers like you mentioned. And at one point they go, I think they were on the lift, and they're talking about the fact that, we've got just a ton of these. They have a ton of these guys, like you said. And he goes, numbers aren't everything, and opens the door. There's just a million of them.
I will say this is showing like how fast and efficient the Empire is working.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they said they were going to do this. All of a sudden, it's happening, and now we're seeing proof of it. And then even in this episode, they're shutting the shit down over on them.
Camino.
That's what I said.
Either one of those. Yeah.
Jeez.
Again, to play off all the New Hope themes, it reminded me of the Han chasing the guys down the hallway.
Yes,
and
exactly.
And then there's a whole room of them. He's like, oh shit. That's it. Kind of
him and Chewie go running back.
So they have to use the exhaust vents, right? They got to use the exhaust vents to get out. Yeah, always.
Then I'm thinking like they're struggling to find their way in, but then it's so easy to fucking get out.
Well, because they get in that vent and it's just right there. It's just right it's that close.
Also, like, does anyone get tired? Like, they climb that whole fucking mountain and they're just like huffing, hoo. And
they're in good shape, man. They do their cardio.
Man. They're unstoppable.
I thought about that when he said we need to go check out what's in the mountain, and they're running and doing all the, just the three of them trying to get in the mountain, and I was like, they must be sweating their balls off. Clones don't sweat.
Took a pre-workout before they left.
Clones don't sweat.
There's the episode title.
It's part of their mutant gene.
Sweating's for the weak.
And then they call Wrecker and Omega. Mm-hmm. And have them come, like, try to pick them up because they're basically on the side of that mountain, like way the fuck up there. And that's when they're getting, like you said, it's the fugitive scene with the bad aim stormtroopers. So I thought it was interesting though. They come in and Omega's flying.
Yes.
Like she's trying to hold it. And I was like, oh shit. So they're letting her kind of do some of that stuff.
2 weeks ago, she has a conversation with Hera, and now she's flying.
Yeah.
Although Tech wasn't in there to tell her she couldn't do it yet.
Well, Tech had to come save her. She's like, I can't hold it.
Yeah.
And then
did you see what he said?
Yeah. What did he say?
I think he said something like that was adequate.
Yes.
And then,
yeah. I love him. He's like my favorite.
So
no, I'll take over. Shoves her out of her seat.
He's great.
That's enough out of you.
But then they because those earlier version TIE fighters come in and start blasting, they have to pull away.
Those fucking things are awesome.
Yeah, those are kind of cool. And then don't touch that mic, kitty. I'm gonna leave all that in. They have to kind of pull away. So then I think it was just Echo and Hunter that were still sitting there trapped. Then they come back and get Echo, and then Hunter tries to fucking jump for it and misses and somehow survives the landing. I mean, I know he hits branches on the way down that slow him down, and he's like gets his knife out and he's trying to hold on and all that stuff. Dude, I mean, not even an ankle sprain out of that.
I know. Yeah, he laid down for a minute, had to regroup. But even then he gets up and he's going to take on all of the stormtroopers. And I'm like, come on.
Knock the wind out of him.
Yeah.
I was going to say the wind. That would have been great if he got up and they're like, Hunter, what are you doing? He's like, hold on. I can't get the wind. The worst feeling in the world.
I get you.
What's wrong? I've got the wind. Oh, I hate that feeling.
And then Omega doesn't want to leave. And he orders the Dad Batch, like, you guys take off.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll find a way.
No, order them again. Like, now everyone's listening to Hunter. Like, yeah, well, we better get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I got 4 TIE fighters on my 6.
Yep. And then we see Rampart catching Nala Se gathering the medical staff. And he's like, Nala Se, I think we've got some use for a scientist, so come with me.
That was a good line.
By the way, we don't have any use for you, Lumps.
I have no use for a politician. And
Amen,
then
brother.
Fucking 2 guys got cannons. The door's closed, and I'm just waiting to hear the sounds. You don't hear the sounds though.
I thought you were going to hear the sound.
Yeah,
I did too. I thought
waiting for him to be blasted.
They kind of left it up in the air.
So is he a prisoner or is he dead?
Yeah, I thought I would assume they were going to kill him, but yeah, maybe they just took him prisoner. I don't know. We'll have to find out later.
So now this scientist is responsible for Grogu.
Is that what you're going to say? I was wondering what's Nala Se going to do now.
Hold
on, let's get to speculation in a minute. The last thing that happens is that scene with Hunter where he's in the cell and Crosshairs walks up and he's like, I was wondering when you were going to show up or whatever he says. And he's like, well, I was hoping for the whole squad, but you'll do. Ooh.
In comes the medical droid.
I was just going to say, you think they're going to put an implant in him?
Oh, yeah. He's getting chipped.
And that's what I thought. They're going to jam one of those things back in his head or something. Or they're going to use him as bait. That's the only other thing I can think of.
Yeah.
So, so speculation. So, like, that's the main one, I think, is what's going to happen with Hunter. I mean, you got 2 episodes left.
What are the titles of the last 2?
We don't know.
We don't know. Okay.
No, they haven't released that. It was just that one tweet that had just the July episodes for some reason, but we don't have anything for August as far as I've heard. So yeah, you would assume this is all like a three episode arc. This is all going to, be rolled to the end.
Yep.
They're going to drop some big shit on us, don't you think? Like, I mean, does Darth show up? Do we have another hero show up? Does the biggest thing I'm thinking of is with all the shit Rex is doing, I think we're going to see like that. He's going to rally some fucking clones, and there's going to be an uprising with clones.
Ooh, that's good.
That's
I
my
like
guess.
That. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he seems real busy.
For what point, though? Like, rally all the clones to go up against the Empire?
I don't know if it's to take a certain planet or system, or if it's more just they're just fucking fed up with what the Empire's done by casting them away after they were,
So timeline experts, how far away are we from A New Hope?
So they don't tell you how much time has gone by during all this. I mean, for all we know, they've been working for Sid for 10 fucking years. But when it started, it was 19 years before A New Hope. That's when this series started. So we just don't know, because that's when Order 66 is. So we just don't know how much time has transpired since then.
Mega hasn't aged much. It seems like this is within a year, less than a year.
So I would say,
we're at 18,
so you
19
got
years
about
from New
19 years from it. So maybe so my speculation would be, you said the Empire is building and going so fast. He says that uprising with the clones, maybe that event, like maybe they get like almost knockout punch to the Empire. Like they set them back 18 years. And then
there's no rebellion yet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They set them back 18 years, and then they have to rebuild their strength this whole entire time. And then you get the events episode 4, where they're back at full strength because they were set back 18 years because of this clone uprising.
Well, there certainly isn't going to be.
They put them on the ropes. The Empire's always on the fucking ropes.
Right,
the New
but
Order's
there's
always
going
on
to
the
be
ropes.
a battle in the next. Not against. You might learn that there's going to be a clone uprising, but there isn't going to be. Hey, we've learned it. We're going to watch the war, and they're going to set them back. I don't think we're going to see that in 2 episodes.
Fuck you, man.
Okay.
No, I just think it's the start of something. Then that sets up season 2.
I agree. I think that. But I mean, I think we're still going to see Saw again. I think we're going to find out what Rex is up to. Hunter, you're right, is probably bait. And then either Crosshairs is something's going to happen where he goes with his brothers, or like he becomes like a big bad. Like there's development with him for one way or another. What else? I think Omega still has to come into play one way or another.
She does.
Maybe we'll find out. Maybe Boba will show up.
Yep, and then like you mentioned with Nala Se, what the hell are they going to do with Nala Se? Is that a long play? Are we not going to see what she's doing for them for a while? And is it related to any sort of more cloning work that they're doing?
Right, but and what is Rampart? Right, he says we're further along than what we expected, further along than getting rid of the Kaminoans. Or is there another play that they're doing where when they get that going, they don't need them anymore?
I think the plan is, all of that War-Mantle plan is to use those conscripts and weed out the rest of the clones because they feel like the conscripts are going to be more loyal. I think they're seeing more and more of these clone troopers like Hauser putting down their arms and saying this is horseshit and going, well, fuck these guys then. We're going to bring in all these conscripts that are totally loyal to us, and we're going to just get rid of these clones because we're done with them. And I think that's the rallying cry for Rex is, look, they're throwing us away like we're garbage. So let's fight these guys.
Well, then there's Gregor, there's Hauser. So you're seeing like these guys that are coming to like having an epiphany. I'm not needed anymore.
Right.
But there's something like there's something not being connected yet, because we know cloning is going to be a big part of for Plagueis, for Sidious, right? So she obviously is going to come into play there, but like what's the point of the genocide of all of them under this guy? Like he's not aware of something bigger, right? So there's a new plan or something new that is going to be discovered yet.
I would just think that they think that the clones are just a threat now, so might as well get rid of them. They're highly trained troops.
But why get rid of the people who are going to make the clones when obviously more cloning is going to happen for the Empire?
Well, they're only getting rid of the politician. You know what I mean? Like they're getting rid of Lama Su because they literally have no use for him. They're like, we can run this show. We need the scientist. You're not a scientist, so bye.
Okay, so I don't know. I was under the impression earlier in the episode they were going to kind of get rid of all of them.
I don't know that the plan is to get rid of all of them. I think it's only to keep the ones who have the skills they need to do what they need to do, and so the rest of them are useless. That's. I mean, I have no idea, and I'm sure there's books, and somebody's listening to this right now going, "You dumbasses! This actually plays out this way." But from all that I know, the little I know, that's how it seems like it's building.
Well, then they can all go work at that one fun center in the Mandalorian episode where Beef and what's-her-face and Mando drive the thing off the cliff, and that's where they find the tanks and the cloning thing or whatever. So that'll all come into play there, yeah.
Yeah,
and open up shop there.
Did you have any other speculation?
That's all I had.
Okay. Well, let's go to the mall bag.
Oh, the mall bag.
Yay.
Hello there.
You've got mail.
So we got 3 emails. The first one is from Louis Cabral. He says, hello, skewers. Clockwork Owl here. A couple questions for you. What character would you like to see more of? I have thoughts.
In the Bad Batch?
I think he just means in general.
Okay.
I think I've mentioned before, I really would like to. I guess I liked Solo more than I laid on. I really do like Solo. But I really want to see more Kira. I want to see a Crimson Dawn series or something. I want to see something else done with those characters. And I'm excited for the Lando series as well. So like that era and the build of the rebellion really intrigues me. So I would like to see her role, and the underworld really intrigues me. So
yeah,
that's the money zone for me.
Speaking of underworld, I'd like to see a little bit more of the Hutt cartel, like the background and the dynamics between them. Like we always got that feel that they were the 5 bosses, right? Kind of a thing.
Yes.
Like the mob almost. I'd kind of like to see like their network and how they get things, because they're just a bunch of big fat slobs. Like they'd be so easy to overturn, but they've got this grip on the underworld of the galaxy. They're the biggest like sleazeballs cartel in the galaxy. So I wonder how they like rose to power and got dominant and
you want to see that story play out through something else or a story centered on that?
I would like to see that. Just like
you want like a Sopranos version of the Hutts?
Yeah, the Godfather, the Hutt Fathers.
That comes into play.
Yeah, I just think the crime syndicates, the underworld stuff, like what we've talked about before, where that series that Lucas was working on with the Coruscant underworld, like all that stuff is really cool, and I think we're going to get a lot more of that with Andor. That's why I'm excited about that series.
Well, it sounds like that stuff is, while we might not see that underworld show, I think some of that is like considered canon in the background, and they're still pulling
pieces of it.
Yeah, and they'll use it throughout some of these shows. So I think we'll see more of that. And with them showing the Pikes again, I think we're going to see some teases of, I'm trying to remember, like, what were we watching? Was it the end of the Clone Wars when we saw the hologram of, we saw the hologram in the sewers when Darth Maul had that fight. And it was what's a Voss? Drayden Voss. Yeah. So I think we're still alluding to the Crimson Dawn and all of those characters. So we'll probably see more.
Yep. What is your favorite type of droid?
BB-8. I really liked BB-8.
Yeah.
Or that little fucking Dr. Moped droid that we saw again this year. I like that little guy.
The one that was helping Nala Se?
Yes. And he was also helped the droid in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he was the one that also was with Chad Bane, right? Cad Bane?
No, not that one. No, this is the one that he was doing the surgery on the chips.
The same model, though, right? They're the same model droid, aren't they?
Are they? I don't think they are.
I thought they were different.
The other one's smaller. The one with Chad Bane is smaller.
One of them turns into he's the one that turns into like a jet ski.
Yeah. The droid that works at he's on Camino, right?
Yes,
right? That was on Camino. Yeah.
So I hope they don't get rid of him.
That's what I said.
Yeah. I'm sticking with. I still like IGs. I mean, IGs are where it's at. They're dangerous. But if you can helm them, I think they're very useful. Of course, astromechs are fun too, but I don't know. I think IG is the one.
If you get Nick Nolte to reprogram one, I'm all in.
Exactly. That's all you need. All you need is an Ugnaught. Mm-hmm. Then you got to have an Ugnaught around.
They're just lying around everywhere. Go to Cloud City, you can get 30 of them. You need a Nug back by noon, I'll get you a Ugnaught. Okay. There's ways. You don't want to know how, but there's ways.
Okay.
What event or story would you like to see? Now, this is pretty broad. But he says how Chewbacca got captured. He's saying what story is alluded to, but you haven't seen play out. What would you want to see?
Well, the one that you get to see play out that I'd always wanted to see was the Kessel Run. Right?
Okay,
like that was the one that since a kid. Like,
was it a letdown?
Nah,
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. It was kind of more of a. They kind of hacked it, right? They kind of went through like a little wormhole type of a thing, like.
Well, it's very much like what they did in the first Star Trek, or the reboot of the Star Trek, where you finally get to see, I forget the name of the thing that Kirk does that no one's ever done before, where he fucking fakes it, but it's sort of the same thing where you're led to believe something all this time, and then when you see it, it's totally, he doesn't do it. What's he say? 10 parsecs? 11? What's the
12 parsecs?
12 parsecs. It's way over, and he wants to round up, and then the fucking Millennium Falcons just beat the shit. And he just puts his arm around Lando. I hate you. Like all of that. I love that.
Good scene.
I think I would like to see more of the fallout from after the second Death Star goes down. Because, and I know that some of that Aftermath book series is maybe where I need to dip into that.
Yeah.
Because once you get to Force Awakens and you see that junkyard of ships and all that kind of thing, you're like, well, when the hell did this happen? And you get a little bit of it in Battlefront 2. There's that storyline in that video game Battlefront 2 that kind of covers that area.
The Battle of Jakku?
Yeah, I just think that there's, everybody, of course, growing up, like the second Death Star gets blown up, you think that's it, and it's not. Like they're still having to hunt down and fight the rest of the Empire. That was just the main battle. So I'd like to see more of that.
Back to the first question, I'd like to see what character would you like to see more of? What if Porkins was like, just a really good...
Your go-to is Porkins, man. He will live on an infamy with you.
What if he was like in the best shape of his life? Hot out of the academy, and then he just let himself go, like the police officer.
Just sitting in the cockpit for so long, he gets fatter.
The police officer that never has to run like the physical agility game because he's grandfathered into the Force. So he's just like, yeah, let the new guy take care of that.
That sounds like a great story to tell.
I think we're gonna like one of the stories I wanted to see. I think we're gonna get is what's gonna play out in Kenobi. With the kids, him leaving, what's going on. I love the idea of the Inquisitors, if that's what we're led to believe, are hunting down the last of any Jedis that exist. Mm-hmm. All of that, like from what were the rumors that we're hearing with Kenobi, I'm really looking forward to that show.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, next year is just going to be jam packed. I mean, it feels like we're going to get back to back to back. So we're going to get this like little break between Bad Batch and Book of Boba, and then it feels like it's just going to be a bunch of series in a row. I
kind of like where we're at right now because there was a time where they were like they wanted to get away from this era of Star Wars and move forward, and there's still rumored with the new Rogue Squadron movie that they're going to move forward. But so far, like I like the where we're living at. Like they're doing a really good job with the storytelling.
I like it too, and I mean, there's definitely some gaps to fill that they're doing, which is great, and it's all familiar, so it's fun to watch. I do like just having, excuse me, I'm getting choked up. Just having dipped into High Republic, like I'm excited to see other stories. I'm excited to see other eras where it's, going back to what the Jedi were like a long time ago, or like what happens now that the First Order has been destroyed. So that kind of stuff, because it's new and we don't know exactly what's going on, that's kind of exciting too.
How far are you in the High Republic?
I'm on chapter 2.
Okay. Let me tell you right now, you're going to get about a third through the book and nothing is going to happen.
Well, the first chapter was pretty explosive.
Yeah, but it's all that chapter. Like it's still that story.
I think maybe I will go, because I can't stand fucking Audible. I can't stand being read to. So maybe I'll go buy that, and that'll be my next book I tackle. I'm still trying to get through Killers of the Flower Moon.
And there's a new one. There's one or two more High Republic books out now.
Correct.
Well, not to mention there's like tie-ins, and so there's graphic novel. There's actually a shit ton of High Republic stuff out.
Well, yeah, they've got like regular like adult novels, and they have young adult novels, and they have they have like different levels of it, but they all tell a part of that story.
Yep.
So.
50 Shades of Grey, the Star Wars universe.
That's a tough one. A lot of it is edited out. It's just bleep, bleep, bleep.
Full of Twi'lek.
That's called redacted.
Redacted. There you go. He says, the show is going well, and I like the speculations and hypotheses you interject throughout the show. May you win the Darksaber, Louis Clockwork Owl. Thank you, Louis.
Thank you, Louis.
Thanks, Louis.
Email number 2. Uh-oh. We need a drop for Mike Laybourne.
I'll work on that. I can take that. No problem.
You should take that on for sure.
I'll have something for you early next week, gentlemen.
Please, thank you. Crickets.
Yeah.
Planets in Star Wars all seem to have just one capital city. Which city on Earth would you choose as our planet's capital, and why?
It's a little too close to home, but okay.
Well, it's funny because we've joked about the fact that like whenever they go to one of these planets, it's like they always go to the same place. It's like it's a whole planet.
Right.
Like, there should be a lot of other action going on. But it's always like, we just always end up here.
What planet is it? Is it Corsican? That's the
yeah.
Huge city.
Coruscant.
Corsicant. Of course.
I feel like that's directed at me.
Never call a woman that.
Of course, cunt. I don't know. Matt, go ahead. Do you got any city in mind?
It's gonna roll right out.
Yeah.
You were like,
yeah.
"What is that planet, Coruscant?" Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
I was gonna try to say the whole planet is a city, right? Huge city.
Yes.
Yes, and so that's a little bit different, but which just makes it impossible to get anywhere. I mean, if you're on the other side of Coruscant, oh man,
You just go through one of the tunnels.
Traffic jams galore.
there you go. I don't know. I think if it's Earth, it just makes sense to be one of the biggies. I guess New York, London, Tokyo, something like that. I would assume. But I mean, it's a fucking big planet, just like all these other planets. So it's hard to pick one for the entire world.
Yeah.
You don't want to slight any other part of the world either.
You need like a mega city. And you start building it now, like right in the Midwest.
Or hovering over the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, maybe just pick a spot no one would plan on. Like go like the I forget Panama, that area. Central America. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And
Close to the equator,
geography
really nice
is our
year
strong
round.
suit on this show, for sure.
Haven't thought about Noriega in a few years. Kind of escaped me,
What is the fucking city in Ohio? The shithole.
Toledo,
Nope.
Akron,
Nope.
Columbus, Cincinnati.
Golly, is it
Apologies to all of our
Ohio listeners? No, there's a city that's like used to be a
Cleveland.
Is it not Ohio? Maybe it's Illinois. I cannot remember. It was an old steel mine or steel factory.
That's Indiana. Gary, Indiana.
Gary, Indiana. That's what I was looking for. That should be the capital.
That's where if you watch Pearl Harbor, they use Gary, Indiana as the where they flew over to bomb Japan, I believe. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because if I remember right, they used aerial shots of Gary, Indiana for the industrial area of where they were bombing Tokyo, right? Yeah.
What do you do in your free time?
I read a lot.
Wow, Michael Bay.
None of it's needed. Oh my God, we're listening to this podcast, and every episode is just it's me playing a Michael Bay movie in my head. It's all military World War II stories, and it's incredible. What's it called? America's Forgotten Heroes?
Yeah.
Oh my God, listen to
Very
that.
good.
It is like I'm not a huge World War II buff. No, I don't think that's fair because yes, it's produced by the Daily Wire or whatever, but you don't get like a right or left propaganda or anything. Like this is just like war stories told within 45, 60 minutes. And
about an hour.
So well done. It's compelling. Oh, I cannot get enough of this podcast.
Are the stories told by Ben Shapiro? Because I'm out.
No, not at all.
I know that was probably your main reservation.
I feel like this was. I have to look into it, but I think this was done before. I think it was picked up by the network.
I'm not sure who the narrator was. We looked it up, but he
like
does a really
senator
good
or
job.
something. I think at least the Twitter account I found, he was some kind of public figure. It's good.
Gotcha.
It's really well done.
Right.
George Lucas would love it. World War II stories.
Okay. I'm booking in to get my first Star Wars tattoo. What Star Wars tattoos would the team get? And I feel like Cole should answer this one. About which one Mike should get.
Which one Mike should get? Maybe a cut-off head of the C-3PO. Or the limb. Maybe he should turn his right arm.
Darth Maul in half.
Yeah, I love that. You should cut your hand off. No. It's a tattoo. Yeah, I know.
He should do the entire right leg all red, like C-3PO's leg. Was it right leg or his right arm? His right leg was silver.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Anything that has the most amount of pain possible. So just color your entire right leg silver.
Color it.
Yeah, so it has to just a lot of needlework.
Face tattoo.
Face tat. There you go.
Like Hunter.
Oh, there you go. Get the Hunter.
Mike can grow his hair out. He's got dark hair, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's his face. That's a cartoon, but let's go with that. He looks like Hunter.
I hope that helps answer your question there, Mike. What tattoo would you get? Star Wars.
They've never.
If you had to.
I know that's the thing is I've thought about it and there's never been a tattoo. I'm like, you know what? I want that on my body for the rest of my life.
Lower back area.
Oh, I get a Star Wars tramp stamp?
Yeah.
Of Watto?
I'd like to see maybe
you liking my ass?
Yeah. It's a Bulba peeking out of my, just where my boxers are, just popping out.
Tattoo, get a shirt pocket over your chest, and then Greedo just popping his head out of it. I shot first. It says on the top.
I think I would get a hilt right above my dick, so my dick looks like a lightsaber.
Awesome.
Oh, so running parallel with your schlong.
That's right.
Just right above it.
Yep. It's not a good idea.
What color would your penis be?
Green.
That's the thing.
It's a green lightsaber.
You never know.
Halloween, every Halloween, you just dye it a different color for your wife or your lady
Or
friend.
You just put a condom on. It's really easy.
Okay,
There you
so
go. That would be an easier way to do it. That's a good point.
glow in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
We play in his room all day long.
What are you doing in there? Nothing. I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
After Matt masters his impression of the week, this is what he does. Glow in the
got a lot
dark
of time.
condom on and turns the lights off, just helicopters.
Well, those Inquisitors, he had like kind of used that thing as like a helicopter, so
Yep.
you could certainly play that out. All right, he says another question. The Dad Batch is giving us some underworld crime syndicate content. Which of the syndicates would the team join and why? I assume he's talking about us, or is he talking about the Dad Batch? I think he's talking about us.
I thought he was talking about the Dad Batch.
Okay, well we could start there.
I don't know. I don't think they would ever be loyal to one single team. They're more of a mercenary. They give me
I think
the
they
mercenary
work for
vibe.
I could see them working for Drayden Voss has got a little bit of charm, pre-scars.
Crimson
So,
Dawn.
Yeah, I could see.
They ain't
that.
working for the Pikes. We know that.
Right. Yeah, they take a
That ain't
job.
happening.
Fucking pikeys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about us?
I'd work for the Huts.
Anybody
directly
who's
for the
paying.
Huts. Yep.
Yeah,
We're mercenaries.
that's right.
I was thinking Huts. Huts sounds right.
I couldn't go into I'd never get Cole out of there. He's obsessed.
Oh, I thought because
Leave Jabba alone.
they're gluttonous, I would just fit right in. What are we having?
What are we eating today?
What are we having? Frogs in a little beaker? Hit me.
So that Twi'lek you got on the chain there, are there any more of them?
Right. Yeah.
Where do I get one of those?
Can I borrow her?
Finally, email number 3. Thank you, Mike. Email number 3 is from
Jeannie.
Jeannie. It's kind of a follow-up to our last episode where we were addressing her email. She says, yes, gentlemen, I am a social worker. I run groups for people who are suicidal, homicidal, and do individual therapy and crisis pre-screens.
Never a dull day in Jeannie's life.
Yeah, good on you, Jeannie. And then she says, this was in reference to the thermostat. 72 is not hot, Cole. Mine is set at 75, but also agree that kids do not pay, so they do not touch the temperature. Logan, my oldest, has requested to pay the electric bill so he can change the temperature. Head shake. He needs to move to his own place. So yeah, I think that this whole, if I was approached by my kid and said, I'll pay the electric bill, I want to control the temperature. One,
Have
no,
at
you
it.
won't. You won't fucking do that. You'll pay it once.
You get up front, 2 months up front.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I need your first and last.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, you got to pay the mortgage to control the temperature in your house, I think. So fuck the electric bill.
Fair enough.
I like where your stance is.
I mean, I'm not against the utility being paid.
Of course.
I've got a couple of adults in the house that, it'd be nice if they helped out a little bit, besides bleeding me dry.
Dipping into the inner workings of Jay's life.
Just kidding, kids.
Yeah. Love you. No, get out.
Get a job. She then goes on to say, HK-47 still makes me laugh. He is my droid choice. Completely useless unless I want to be murdered. But oh, the comedy. I don't know HK-47. Is he from a book or something?
I'll look it up.
I actually didn't look him up.
HK-47.
AK-47's twin brother.
Sounds like a Bone song.
He's this.
Oh, he looks badass.
Yeah,
Who's
looks
this
like
homeboy? Fictional character in the Star Wars Expanded Universe, created 2003 video game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Oh, that's why I never played Old Republic.
That's why. Okay.
He's like bronze looking, holding a blaster.
Yep.
Hunter Killer series. HK. Ooh.
Oh, Hunter Killer, like Terminator.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of too.
Huh.
Yeah, the HK series. The first ones had rubber skin. They were easy to spot. Remember?
Yeah.
We can probably do this whole script together.
I love that movie.
Well, that leads into her question. She just said, I do have a question for the week. Which Star Wars game is your must play? And so, yeah, I never played Knights of the Old Republic. Did you guys ever play that game?
Is that the MMO
Yes.
RPG? I think I leveled a character up to like level 10 when I used to play World of Warcraft quite a bit.
Well, there was the MMORPG was Galaxies.
I think I played Galaxies.
Knights of the Old Republic was just an RPG.
Okay.
So I was playing online with a bunch of other people.
That's Galaxies.
Okay, I must have been playing
Yeah.
Galaxies.
Because people bust a nut all over that Knights of the Old Republic
Yes,
game.
they
Like,
do.
They love that fucking game. And I never played it. I think it came out when I was in like my 20s. I was not doing a lot of video games.
That's the same with me. Yeah. It came out like at a time where I just wasn't playing games much. It always looked cool, but I think they revamped it. What are you looking at?
I just find that humorous. He's like, I was in my 20s. I wasn't playing video games. Now he's like pushing his 40s. I love him. Play him all the time.
I wish. I don't have time. Fuck,
Yeah.
man.
My video game would be, I got to take it back to Nintendo 64, Shadows of the Empire, man.
Great game.
I love that fucking Hoth scene where you get to go shoot the tow cable.
Yeah.
I went through and took down every walker you could. I love that game.
You know, was it the 64? There was a Boba Fett game they made that was pretty badass too.
Atari had one. It was amazing.
Atari.
They did. They had one where you actually did the Hoth battle. And you would fly around on the plane. I mean, the graphics were terrible, and it was one of those that was tough. But of course, as a Star Wars fan and as a video game fan, I played it when I was a kid. It was awesome.
It looked exactly like Luke trying to center in when he was going through the trenches on the Death Star. That's the Atari. It looks like that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think I had mentioned Battlefront 2, which I really enjoyed quite a lot. But I think that Jedi Fallen Order game is pretty fucking dope. I know you haven't played it. I don't think you've said you haven't played it.
I haven't.
It's a pretty sweet game. There's storyline to it that kind of fills in some of the era that's like post Order 66, kind of building toward the rebellion. It's worth the play. It's a really good game.
I do want to play it. I prevent myself from getting back into video games because I do so much podcasting.
Too much shit, yeah.
And I would lose myself in them again. Like the new Spider-Man game that came out a year or two ago. Like I would live in that world. So I don't do that. But I've thought about like watching the playthroughs like on YouTube just so I can see the story.
Yeah, because I mean that's what I do. I go story mode. I'm not trying to set the fucking record or anything. I'm just trying to get through the game. Mm-hmm. It's not. I mean, it's long. But it's not so long that it's like one of those RPG games where you're building up a character and you could spend 10 hours a day for fucking 6 months playing it. It's not like that. You do progress and get to the end. But it is a bit of time spent for sure. I did play that once through.
Do you guys remember it was on Sega Dreamcast, Jedi Power Battles?
No.
Oh, it was fun. It was one of the first games where you could do if you blocked quick enough when a droid shot at you, you could deflect his laser back at him and kill him.
Oh, okay.
That was always so much fun. You could play as Ahsoka. You could play as Qui-Gon, and it was just like a side scroller, almost like open world. You'd run, just do all these power ups, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was like just an action game. It wasn't like anything special. But yeah, like if he shot and you timed it right, and you hit your block button before the laser got to you, then it would reflect back and kill him.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order has that, of course, and Battlefront 2, I believe, if you're a Jedi in that, you could do that as well. Like, if you hit it just before it gets to you, it just goes right back and hits them right in the face.
Yep.
What was the one that came out like the PS2 and the Xbox where it was like Mortal Kombat with Star Wars characters? I believe Mara Jade was in it. They pulled like a bunch of before they were expanded or Legends, the Battle of... I can't remember. It was a pretty fucking cool game. I worked at Best Buy at the time, so I would like walk up to the monitor and kind of play it a little bit or watch people play. It was pretty badass.
I don't remember that. Oh, well. All right. Well, thank you, Jeannie, for your questions. Thanks, everybody, for your questions. Remember, you can send us email at FACPApod@gmail.com. Those guys just got some entries for the Maul Hilt. You can, too. But, again, last week to do it, or last episode to do it. You get 2 weeks. Want to move on to the FACPAtoid?
Yeah, I found this one just recently while digging for FACPAtoids. So if one of you guys want to go ahead and read it.
I can do that.
All right.
George Lucas, being good friends with Coppola and having spent some time on the set of the first Godfather film, was cornered by Marlon Brando. While he himself had no interest in being a third-rate fantasy fiction film that had no right using the word science in its genre, he felt his good friend Robert De Niro should be cast in the film without even having a screen test. An argument escalated between the two. Brando still had cotton balls in his mouth because he was in between takes. Lucas couldn't make out a punch. This is fucking silly. Lucas couldn't make out much of what he was saying once he got to hollering, but he kept yelling Jabba while sweating profusely. George couldn't make any sense of it, and they never talked again. But this stuck with him while rewriting the script for A New Hope. It's been rumored that Fat Brando is actually an inspiration for Jabba. Is this real, or did you make this up?
Yeah, I found this.
Where did you find this?
Oh, in the back of my brain.
I was like, there's no way this is true.
This is what I get for not reading the show notes.
It does paint a funny picture, though, of George Lucas being cornered by Marlon Brando and just being like, I don't want to have this conversation.
And then as I'm writing this, like, I already know where I'm going. As I'm writing this, I was like, oh, this all kind of makes sense. Because if you remember the original footage before they CGI'd Jabba, there's just like that fat guy in a fur coat that Han's yelling at.
Yep.
You know? And I'm like, oh, okay. So Marlon Brando's just a fat guy sweating, yelling at fucking George Lucas.
Brando choked on one of his cotton balls, and that's
Just
how
yelling
Jabba died.
Jabba.
Like,
He's like, what are you saying? You saying Jabba? No, I'm
trying to tell him to
choking.
go get me a Java.
like I'm not one of the
that's good
coffee
shit.
guys. I'm not a runner.
I hope that you do that in the future. Sneak in your own made-up FACPAtoids because that's fucking awesome.
Okay.
Well done.
That's it. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the last 2 episodes and the winner of the Maul Hilt. So until then, or until next time,
Never tell us the odds.
In our experience, there's no such thing as luck.
we have spoken. Monkey poo.